Good morning, everyone. It is 8:30 a.m. on 3/18/2025, and I am sitting here in Pueblo, Colorado, this beautiful Tuesday morning. I wanted to talk to you about business startup. So, as many of you may know, I have always owned my own companies. I graduated a semester early from high school in 2007, and I had that entire second semester of school from January until July to start working. The first thing I did was post flyers to help the elderly and disabled people that lived in the building with my mother. She lived in a low-income housing development for the elderly and disabled. So I had listed signs asking if anyone needed help with cleaning, errands, and various things. So a lot of people were hiring me. At that time, I didn't know about personal care workers and CNAs and things like that. I wasn't aware of those job positions and everything. I mean, I know they exist, but so I hadn't realized that I was basically doing home care. I would run errands and I would clean their houses and I would help them with tasks. I babysat one woman when her caregiver couldn't come on time just to keep her safe. So after that, I had left my mom's house in 2009. I was married at the time to my longtime girlfriend, and we moved into a different house. And because of the area change, I had to start a different company. Now, I'm not one who's afraid of hard work. My very first job was at McDonald's when I was 15. But I learned very, very quickly that you do get used and abused a lot. People really don't care how hard you work. I used to run the drive-thru and the front counter in the mornings and the night by myself. Sometimes I would jump back and make the burgers myself because I was so good at what I did. I would remember the person's orders in the drive-thru because we were timed. And then when they got to the pay window, I would type it in. And that was helping our time. So I even helped them with their problems with the corporate. But I always liked working for myself. You always want to be able to make your own schedule. You always want to be able to do your own career success and things that you're good at. So I started a tutoring company. Now, again, I'm very good at what I do. I'm very educated. I spent all my summers and days off going to the library and getting like a stack of 100 different books. And I liked factual books. I liked educational books. I always wanted to learn and learn quicker than college could teach you. So I tutored a bunch of children and adults. I did even tutor a fireman for his fire captain's exam. So see, this is the thing that I used to do. I would actually learn things to teach people. And he did very well on his test. So from about 2007, if I'm being honest, until about 2010, that's what I did, with a combination of working from home on schoolwork and stuff. In 2010, my wife left to go to the Navy, and then of course, as they do sometimes, she cheated and we broke it off. So I was on my own, and I started dating somebody eventually that is now my current wife, who was doing CNA work. That was her job. So she got me involved in that. So we became home caregivers. And at that time, it was about 2012 when I started my own nonprofit agency. Now, I had wanted to do it for very long, like many years, and I was even going to hire my stepfather at the time to write my 501c3. Well, just trust me, you should always do everything yourself because waiting around for someone else never gets you anywhere. So I actually filed my easy form myself, and I got it to be a 501c3. So I do currently have that nonprofit. It's called Paws United, and it is one I'm very proud of. During that time, we also did DoorDash and Grubhub, and I even Instacarted for a while, and believe me, that made you a lot of money in Denver. I was one of the first 5 Grubhub drivers in Denver. It was about 2015 when they started it here, and we used to walkie-talkie each other. That's how small they were. Of course, like I said, people forget you. You could work hard all day and all night to try and impress somebody or just be a good worker, and sometimes you just get smacked in the face. But we had moved to Colorado Springs, and we kept doing caregiving. And if you ever worked in home care, there are so many issues that you just want to like bang your head against the wall. So after a lot of thought and consideration and talking for many years, probably since 2010 or 12, my wife and I started our own home care company. The home care company was very successful. It did become a multi-million-dollar company. We did have over 400 clients and 200 employees. I had 12 office staff under me. I was directly influencing every department and helping every department. I was the go-to manager. It got to the point where you were nervous about looking at your phone at 6 a.m. because you had no idea what the problems were going to be. That failed after my brother and my brother-in-law. I had trained them to work for me. I had given my brother a job. He was in prison for 12 years for something that was being way dramatic. So he was basically a loser. My father had taken him out of school when he was 8. He got his GED somewhere along the line, and then he was in and out of prison since he was 17. So I had this big old loser, and I was raised with my mom, so I came out a little differently, but I was like, you know what? He's wasted so much of his life. He was like 36 when he got out. So I gave him an HR job. I trained him thoroughly in HR. Now, on the other end of things, my wife's brother was also a loser. He was struggling with Uber and he was struggling doing his jobs. And their mother called my wife and asked her to give him a job because he was facing divorce. So we gave him a job. Now, if you've ever worked for me, or if you ever do, you'll know I'm very thorough. I am the type of person who will educate you. I want you to be the best you can be. And I mean it sincerely. I overly trained them, I guess, or they got overly jealous of what I had. They saw me paying people and doing Christmas parties and things. They completely started irritating me because they kept thinking they could do everyone else's jobs better. And it came to the point where they were bickering back and forth. So we find out in April of 2021 that Huda's brother secretly started his own home care agency in October of 2020. He was arguing with us, and now I knew why. My brother had already started his. I told him to go start his own so he could see the headache that he was causing me and what I was talking about. Some people have to learn firsthand. So that's what we did. I also started another nonprofit during that time called Angels of Care. It was for the elderly and disabled. You are very limited on what you're allowed to do in home care. You can't do pet care and different tasks. So I included this nonprofit, and we would provide those services for free. Most of the donations came from me. The rest, I didn't actually get any donations except for items, like someone would donate clothes and I would hand it out. And just know, guys, this is going to be a 2-part podcast. This one should be labeled more appropriately to what owning a business is like or something. But I do have a point I want you guys to know. Besides the fact that my story is really unique and amazing, I do have a point. So I also started a different nonprofit when I started raising horses. I was introduced to horses in a kill pen. After I had already bought my first horse. It was a Christmas present. It was the only thing I wanted that I didn't have. And he was a Morgan horse, and we used to go visit him at the farm where the breeder was because she kept him for us because the other area places were not very good. But I started rescuing horses from the kill pens in Eaton, Colorado. And that's a whole nother thing. We won't go into that. But anyways, it was a nonprofit for horses, so I did the paperwork again. And it was really great, actually. So now I have sold my home care company. Well, I actually broke it off piece by piece. I still have my nonprofits listed on my LinkedIn because they're still active and they are ongoing. And right now I am starting my own marketing company because I'm getting into that. So here is the thing. And this is what the podcast is actually supposed to be about. I have all those years of experience and I've started all those different companies. There's probably a few that I started that I didn't even mention. because at one time I was a franchise consultant and you had to have your own company. It was a franchise that I paid into. I had a yogurt shop that I had purchased from someone else when I wanted a second job, like, an income maker. So there's a lot that goes into owning a business. But one of the things that you will notice commonly is after you start a business, you will start getting a bunch of advertisements for different services. And some of them will try and scare you into thinking, oh, hurry up, you got to do this now. You only have until this day. So yes, if you have any employees, you are supposed to have the poster that says all the minimum wage and federal laws. If you have employees that are W-2 and not contractors, you are supposed to have unemployment insurance. You are supposed to have the labor board associated with you. You should have an account for that. And you're supposed to report in a system every time you have an employee, which is tedious. In Colorado, there is also a wage withholding certificate that you have to get from the state in order to take taxes from people's checks. So these are all things that you have to do on the computer, but they like to send you those letters that threaten you or say you're going to get shut down, or, oh my gosh, you're not going to be in compliance with your license or whatever you have, because you are supposed to register with your state. And we'll get to that. But they always send you those for the poster, and they always send you them for things like the EIN number and various parts of your filing, like when you do your quarterly reports and all that stuff. It is a scam. I want you to know that all of those asking if you want help registering your company with the state, whatever state you're in. And I'll tell you, I was about to start home care in several other cities and different states, and I did research a lot. It seems that pretty much every state has one of these things, but mine is the SOS, Secretary of State. I've memorized it because I have a lot. It's sos.state.co.us. This is where on ours it says start a business and all this. These are, you do pay for them. They raised the prices in our state for LLCs and profit companies are $50 now. And the nonprofits are $25, I believe. But these services are free to you. When you start a company, this is the first thing that you should do. This is going to be the letter with your EIN that gets you a bank account, gets you credit cards, gets you anything that you need for your company. It proves you are a company. So there should be one in every state. So while I'm sitting here, I researched it. So yes, all the businesses, including LLCs, corporations, partnerships, nonprofits, need to register with the Secretary of State office. That's the SOS. That's where it comes from. And there's a little thing on here that you can figure out all 50 states. So these are free to click on. And then depending on what you file, so here's this website that's telling me about the 50 states. They want to charge you $39 plus the state fee. So that means the $50 that you're supposed to do when you do it for free, plus the $39 to get them to do it for you, which is actually pretty good. LegalZoom's $149 plus the state fee. This is the most easy thing that you could possibly do when you start a company. Don't let people make you think that it is harder. You click the type of company that you want. If you researched it, you should know whether or not you're an LLC, a profit, a limited liability partnership, whatever. If you don't know which kind you are, I always go for the LLC because you can change it later, but usually any profit company can fall under an LLC. And all this form is asking you is, what name do you want? What's the address? Who's the registered agent? Do you have bylaws and stuff like that? Sometimes you can upload it. It doesn't usually ask you like you have to. But if you have an agreement or bylaws or something, it's good to post it. Then it's public record. That saves you later when someone else claims that they started the business with you or something crazy. So this is the first thing that you do. This is the only thing that really costs money, but it's not very much money. So let's talk about the EIN. The EIN number from each of your states for the federal tax ID. Now, if you are if you're someone who immigrated here and you had a green card, you have like an FEIN. This is where they get that from. It's technically the same number of digits, but they put the little dash after the first two numbers. But this is what made me think to do this podcast. Because if you go on here and you type in Google EIN, because that's the fastest way to do it. I accidentally clicked on this one and didn't realize that it wasn't the IRS's. Even though I've seen it a million times, I thought they changed their site. And they wanted to charge me an arm and a leg to get this EIN number. EIN numbers are free. This should not be something that you are paying for. You want to go to irs.gov. irs.gov. In the search box right here on the right hand side at the top, type EIN and press enter. Then it pops up. Apply for an employer identification number. Do you need an EIN? Now you can do some sole proprietors under your own social security number. I've done that before. But if you need an EIN for your corporation, your S Corp, your C Corp, your LLC, whatever it is that you have, you go to this EIN site and you click this apply button. And it gives you some tools and various things that it's yapping about. But down here, about halfway, it says get an EIN and you press apply. This is free, people. Free. You begin application, you choose what type of company you are, sole proprietor, partnership, corporation, which includes SNC, limited liabilities, estate, and trust. And then you can view nonprofits. So you just click what it is. And it tells you in detail what it is to make sure that you fit that mold. Are you choosing the right structure? If for some reason you read this and you're like, oh no, crap, it's different. So then you start clicking them to see which one you are. And you realize that you're not really an LLC, you're a partnership. You can go to the Secretary of State and you can edit your documents. You just refile a document. You would search your own business's name in their search box. Click on it. On that place, it would say file a form. You click that. You choose the form from a list of nonsense. Usually it's change report, and then you can change the name. You pay again, yes, but it's easy to do. You fix it. Bada bang, bada boom, you're done. So then you figured out what you are. So you come here. It asks you how many members you have. This is like owners, founders, members. LLC are members because it's a limited liability company. It could be 1, it could be 2, it can be 4, however many you have. So you want to just make sure that you put that in your state. Then it says, please confirm. And it tells you, again, what kind of forms you'll need to file if you're this type of company. If you need to change your structure, do it now. These are just warnings to make sure you understand that this is for a limited liability company. It'll say that for all of them, like different things, but it'll be the same thing where it's telling you, hey, this is what you're applying for. Are you sure? The next thing it asks you, and this is so easy, it's a small, silly screen. I should probably do a video of this as well when I'm done. But it asks you why you're requesting an EIN. They have started a new business, hired employees. For banking purposes, you change the type of organization, so like C Corp to LLC or LLC to nonprofit, or purchased an active business. Now, you do want to make sure that each time you change your company, if you're a nonprofit and then you realize you make too much money and you have to go to profit, or vice versa, you do have to get a new EIN. It's just a rule. So usually you do this when you started a new business, even though we all know the bank is usually the first place you take this, but you click continue. The next page asks you for your first name, middle name, last name, if you have like junior, senior, your full social. Then it says choose one. I am the owner, member, or managing member of this LLC. Or you're a third party doing this LLC on someone else. Well, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably the top one. You're the owner, member, or managing member, because you're trying to do it on your own without applying as a third party. This third party button is where those people who charge you $200-$300 for an EIN, they're clicking this one little button and boom, they did it for you. So yay, you gave them money. Again, this is free. Continue. Then it asks you for your street address, street, city, state, zip code, your phone number, and if you have a different address for your mail. If you do, you click yes. If you don't, you say no. Easy peasy, melon squeezy. You'll see I say all these things that are funny. Now it's going to ask you your business name. And you're probably thinking, oh, thank God, it's finally time. So then you're going to type in your business name, legal name of the business, and your trade name. Now, you can put a trade name in here. You are technically supposed to register this name with your state. It's a different document that you file, and you can file your trade name. That's not very difficult. Again, you just go into your Secretary of State, type in your business's name. Under there, it'll say file forms. Then you look for the trade name. You file the paper, you pay your fee, and then boom. So an example of this is if you were like Johnson and Sons Moving Company, LLC. Well, you don't want to put that on everything. You want to be Johnson and Sons Moving. So you do your name, your trade name. Sorry, guys. This is your DBA. So a lot of times when you're doing like bylaws and different things, you'll put DBA and whatever it is. This is an important step if you do have a name that you don't want to put on everything. Because very, very technically, you're not supposed to abbreviate your name in any way. And it only harms you when somebody decides to make it a problem. But believe me, more than enough people will make it a problem. It's much, much easier just to register it, get it over with, make sure they understand who you are, protect yourselves, and move on. So then you fill it out. The name, the trade name, the city, state. It asks you where your state is and also where you're filing for. So maybe you are in Colorado, like me, but you're trying to start a company in New Mexico. So you would just put that, whatever it is, on the proper lines and the year, and you would click continue. The next screen is where it gets a little tricky, and usually if you have any of these, then I would go ahead and probably hire the people, but I'm sure it's just a few extra questions when you click yes or no, or it'll give you a different form to fill out. But this part asks you if you have a motor vehicle with a taxable gross weight over 55,000 pounds. Most of us are going to say no. Do you have a business involving gambling or wagering? This one we're probably going to say no to, because there's a whole different thing you're going to do before you even come to this form related to gambling and wagering. Does your business need to file Form 720, quarterly federal exercise tax return? Now, this can be a yes or no. You should click this exercise tax form button, learn what it is, find out if you need to file it. Remember, if it's not until like next year or whatever, you say no. This can change, but they'll keep your EIN the same. They don't care. Once you file that form, they know it's coming in. But if for now you don't need it, then don't click yes. You'll see on the bottom question here, it's about employees. So, does your business sell or manufacture alcohol, tobacco, or firearms? You might say yes, you might say no. And then, of course, there'll be extra forms to fill out, and you probably will already know that information before clicking yes on here. So I click no, obviously, because mine's a service company usually. This is the part I was talking about. Do you have or expect to have an employee who will file Form W-2 in the next 12 months? It asks you specifically in the next 12 months. Me, I wouldn't have anybody yet. I always build a company first and then hire people, so I would say no. Whatever it is, click the right button. The yes will just teach you what forms you have to file as an employer. It'll tell you on your EIN documents. Click continue. This is where it asks you what kind of company you are. And again, it sounds like it's a long process, but it's very, very easy. Now, a lot of things on this list are because you will need to go look at your separate qualifications and things like that. But accommodations, construction, finance, food service, healthcare, insurance, manufacturing, real estate, rental and leasing, retail, social assistance, transportation, warehouse, wholesale. Ugh. These are all things that will need like a broker's license, or like when I did the home care, it has a health department license. Obviously, if you operate a casino or a hotel, it needs a different license. So if any of these are yes, they're going to ask you for more stuff. But usually it's other if you have like a different kind of service. And you click next. The next page says what describes your business. Is it consulting, manufacturing, organization, rental, repairs, sell goods or services, or other? I'm typing. So, hopefully everyone you click continue after you've downloaded it. It tells you all the stuff, like this is the form you need, that's the form you need. You can print this page. It tells you all kinds of things about what you just filed. Click continue, and it says thank you, have a nice day. Again, completely free. As you can tell, I did not say at all anywhere that it was asking for money. If anybody wants help in finding out how to do your wage withholding license from your state, or you need help like getting your food license information and things like that, you can Google how you do it. I can maybe do some podcasts about that. But because this that we went over is actually for everyone, that's why I was discussing it. And these are the two papers that you usually get in the mail telling you, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to charge me? This one, LegalZoom, and everyone will pop up. If you need bylaws and you need documents for your agencies or companies, you want to use Rocket Lawyer. Now, I'm not advertising anybody, but I've done all of mine in there, and it does step-by-step questions with you. And you pay a one-time fee for the month, and you could do as many as you need to do. And it does know each state's information. You just type it in and the state, and they tell you what form you need. And then they help you do the form. So I would recommend them. It's Rocket Lawyer. If you guys have any questions or you want to know something that I didn't go over that has to do with these two parts, just go ahead and email me at thescoop@writeme.com, thescoop@writeme.com. This has been a wonderful podcast. Sorry for yapping in the beginning. Just kidding. That's what I'm supposed to do. Let me know, guys, if you need anything, and be on the lookout for my next podcast. See you guys later.